Amplifiers versus modelers.
You don't want to rush an important decision.
Hi, it's Dave at Creative Guitar Lounge. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these videos talking about the advantages, the pros and cons of amps and modelers, and which you should go for, which you should use, all that stuff. So this is just, I use both, so I just wanted to add my thoughts on the subject, which could take a very long time, but I'll try and keep it brief. So here's the essence of it for me that sums up the pros and cons of the whole thing. I've got this little home studio in my attic, as you probably know if you've seen my other videos. If you haven't, do feel free to subscribe and like this video if you do, that would be really helpful. But anyway, back to the point. So I can actually record amps live, particularly this little Blackstar 5-watt amplifier, valve amp, which I bought for the purpose of being able to record live amplifiers again, because my 100-watt Marshall is just ridiculously loud and it's kind of impossible to get that to the volume it needs to be to record well through a microphone. So if I want to record, I suppose either of these amps, but let's stick with the Blackstar since I'm able to do that. It's still too loud to stand beside with headphones listening to a mix on a digital audio workstation while recording that guitar. It's just impossible, the amplifier is just too loud. So the setup I have, if I want to do that now, is I have UHF radio powered headphones, which I connect to the output of the interface. And I've got wireless receivers and transmitters for my guitar, which go into the GT100 modelling pedal and into my amp. And I'm not using any of the amp models for that. I'm just purely using it as an effects board because it has modelled effects, versions of all the effects I use, which to be fair aren't actually that many. Delay, compression, distortion, sometimes a little bit of chorus and occasionally some other bits and pieces. Anyway, back to the story. So to do that, I got these on. I can set the amp up with the microphone, get everything set up here, take my iPhone to control Logic Pro via the remote app. I go downstairs, I close this hatch over in here and go downstairs and record away. So it's kind of cool. I'm wandering around in the living room. I can get quite a decent sound from these. Can't use earbuds unfortunately because Bluetooth has just far too much latency. There's like a second worth of delay. It's impossible. Whereas you get none of that with these. So I'm down underneath there, strolling around, playing away with these, and I can come up and if I've got everything sorted out well enough, it's great. But if for some reason it hasn't recorded particularly well and I want to move microphones around, I have to go through all that to change the microphones and go down and go do all that again. Okay, so to my mind, it can be worth it because I love the sound of my valve amps, I always have. But my alternative is to switch to some of the modelled amps in this GT100, of which there are, I don't know, 30, something like that. Vintage amps, modern amps. Well, it's 10 years old, so there are amps have come out since. But to be fair, what's in an amp? You could argue, there are some various different sounds of amps, but they are kind of in quite limited characteristics. You want, anyway. So there's that option that you've got Voxes, you've got Fenders, you've got Marshalls, you've got PVs, Bugeras, Matchless, all sorts of tried, tested, and also exotic amplifiers. And to use them instead of all the palaver just described, I plug a USB into the back of that, or I can take a line out into the interface, and that's that. I can mess around with all of the different effects and even the microphone placements, the EQ, the settings, everything, without leaving my chair, just with the computer. So the advantages are they're pretty obvious when it comes to the modelling stuff. Here's a song I'm working on at the moment, which is nearly done, and I've done a bit of both. I've got both of these amps actually with various microphone setups, obviously the Shure SM57, and also I've got an AKG P120, which is a condenser, but that can take quite a lot of volume. So have a look at that. I'll take you into Logic briefly, and we'll do a comparison. We'll listen to them all separately, and then together, and also in the full mix. So we can probably agree that they sound pretty different, but I think together pretty excellent. So what I ended up doing was having, for the rhythm guitars anyway, the live amp panned to one side and the model, which is actually a Logic Pro model, panned to the other side, and I think it's really quite nice. I mean, they're not actually copies of each other. I actually played them both individually to get that sort of little difference between them both, even though they're playing largely the same thing. And then the lead part, again, is from the modelled amp. Sorry, no, it's not. The lead part is live from the Marshall with the two microphones, and I think it's kind of excellent. Again, if these sounds aren't completely you're not completely happy with them, you can do lots of stuff in Logic Pro afterwards. I mean, there is a little bit of saturation added to those, and usually compression. I add compression a lot of the time to these things, you know, just to kind of level them out. So how do you sum this up? Well, it's kind of horses for courses. If I was playing live, I would have this set up. I would definitely take the amplifiers, even though they're cumbersome, heavy, and they're quite valuable to me, so I don't really like them to get damaged. So there's all that to consider, but I would still take that with me. I've never tried the modeler just through a PA system, aside from my first experience was the little pod, you know, the little kidney-shaped pod, which I thought was great. It had some really good sounds on it for recording, used it for recording a lot. I did try it through a PA system in a rehearsal room once live, and it was awful. Just tinny and nasty and buzzy and awful. But things have come a long way since then. You know, even to the GT100, which is about 10 years old. But the modern stuff, your Kempers and your Fenders and Tone Masters, all that stuff, you know, by all accounts, they're incredible. And a lot of people are switching to using them live. So I could probably be converted. So what would you do if you've got the budget for one? If you can't have both, you could only have one. I got to be honest, I probably would go with the modeler. But that would suit me because I don't really do much live playing at all anymore. It could happen, but I've got my little amps or a big amp if I want to do that. And I would probably go down that route first. But if I decided it was, I started picking these things up and carrying them downstairs again, I may actually just go, oh no, sod that, I'll just take the GT. So these are just the things to consider. I hope that's been helpful to you. I personally don't think you can beat the sound of a cranked up valve amp, or a good cranked up valve amp, where you can just kind of have it set just on the edge of breakup so that you can just lean back into beautiful soaring feedback you can control with a treble bar. It's hard to beat that stuff, into my mind, and I don't think you can yet do that with a modelled amplifier without going to a lot of rigmarole with speakers going into speakers and all that sort of stuff. So there you go. Amps, absolutely amazing. but loud, cumbersome, quite difficult to record. Modelling stuff doesn't sound, I don't think, exactly like an amp yet, and you don't get that immediacy, that sort of feel, that kind of spiritual almost connection that you get with an amplifier yet. I'm sure they'll get round to that. That's what I think. I hope it's been helpful to you. If it has, let me know, give me your thoughts, and I'll see you in another video. Cheers for now, it's been Dave, Creative Guitar Lounge. Bye bye.